Hello, I'm Dowie and welcome to this video. Today we're going to be talking about Trump's tariffs, what they mean for you here in the UK, and why you haven't felt the impact of them despite it being the highest they've been in over 100 years. First of all, what actually is a tariff? You can think of a tariff as a tax on imported goods. So the idea being that you make foreign goods more expensive in order to encourage consumers to purchase locally produced goods and services. So this is all part of the Trump administration's America First economic plan. So how does this affect us here in the UK? Well, we sell a considerable amount of goods and services to Americans. So whiskey, cars, aerospace goods, anything that we're going to sell is going to have a 10% fee added onto it. So it's 10% more expensive to an American consumer. That essentially is going to make us less competitive in the market there and potentially damage some of our industry here in the UK. But the biggest impact is often indirect. So think of that car that's built here in the UK that we're looking to sell to America. A lot of the parts to make that car are often imported from China or from Germany, for instance. Now, when you have tariff wars where they're levied and retaliated against, you're essentially creating uncertainty and friction in the global supply chain. That puts upward pressure on prices because people and businesses find it harder to plan and to invest and have to pay these levies. Over the last 50 years or so, for better or worse, we've experienced massive amounts of globalization. This has essentially reduced the friction of different economic powers around the world trading. But since COVID, we've kind of had a reversal of that pattern, where we started to onshore key infrastructure, energy producers, and manufacturing. And that's expensive. Essentially, a lot of the inflation that we've experienced has been because of that. And this has now led to the tariffs being at the highest rates they've been for over 100 years. So you may be wondering, if these have already come into effect, why have you not felt the impact of these? Are these as dramatic and significant as I'm making them out to be? Well, to be honest, the costs of these have likely not been passed on to consumers. So companies were able to stock up their inventories prior to the implementation of these tariffs. It's only once these stocks have dwindled that they're going to be forced to pass on these costs. So just when inflation seems to be getting under control and being stabilized, we may have a second wave of these price increases, this second version 2 of the cost of living crisis. Even the US central bank is getting worried about this now. So I've made a whole video on this that you can check out if you'd like. But the essence of it is that they're going to bring down interest rates soon, or at least they've hinted to do that, in order to stimulate the economy because they're worried about the unemployment rate spiking. So in an increasingly uncertain and interconnected world, having a solid personal plan for yourself is more important than ever. A lot of people have resorted to gold. Gold is a solid, proven historic store of value, and it's at all-time highs at the moment. I think that's a sign of the times. So let me know what you think. Is this going to bring about another roaring 20s scenario, bringing onshore manufacturing and employment? Or is it just going to increase prices for most people, with consumers at the end of the day having to pay these tariffs? Let me know what you think down in the comments below. I'll be really interested to hear different perspectives on this.